brings out this quality in Gene that people know he has, but it's not his dominant quality. His dominant quality is his caring and his goodness and his kindness. But Gene is a very brave man, a very brave guy. I've seen him stare down the face of a tiger. And when we were doing the Stolen Bicycle Blues, which is a true story, you know, how many people would you follow if they said, my bike was just stolen in a major city in this country, let's go find the people who stole it? Okay, now what would you think? It's like, you're crazy, are you out of your mind? But with the will of these two guys, I said, you know, I wasn't as political, so I said, okay, I'm in for a good time. And we circled the city for 2 hours and didn't find these guys. And then all of a sudden stopped in front of the Boston Public Library. And we saw these two guys. We found them.
We had the number on one of their shirts.
Number 88, okay, on one of the shirts. But the point is that we were talking, we didn't know what to do. Okay, we found these guys, but we're not thugs, you know, we don't know how to beat people up. We don't, we're mediating, we're discussing what to do, you know. So all of a sudden, they walk down the stairs of the library, and one of the guys pulls back his jacket, and out come these giant bolt cutters, and they're ready to steal another bike right in front of us. So when we saw this, Gene says, come on, let's go get him. And he leads this charge of us three and jumps on these guys. Okay, and we have these guys, and now we are thugs. Now we're like, all right, what are we going to do with these guys? Gene says, let's take them in back of the library and, you know, sort of get him to confess. And we go through this whole... But the point is that when it came down to it, he was right there in the charge. He led the charge. I don't know if anybody saw Gene fight. Have you ever seen Gene fight?
No.
It's not, I saw him fight. It wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. And this poor kid had to listen to him for 6 hours about why he would steal from, you know, bicycles from regular people. And, you know, he's shown this kind of courage in the Boston Bus Drivers Union. He's shown courage. I think this gets overlooked, that a soft-spoken, subtle, beautiful person like this, he, more than anybody else, feels the power of the working class. Okay, that he identified with the working class so strongly, and he wanted to show the world that working class people can do anything. We can write plays, we can sing songs, we can start unions, we can dance. He was a leader in all of these kinds of grassroots types of endeavors, and he brought people along with him. But the real courageous act in his life, for me, you know, after we did the Stolen Bicycle Blues collaboration, we have a dear friend whose name is Woody. And they were, you know, Gene glommed on to the artist part of himself. And he brought that part of Woody out. So they became like the Rodgers and Hammerstein of the movie. They were like this, you know, collaborative duo. And they started writing a play about why the busing situation took place in Boston. What was going on? All of Boston was saying racism, 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 and Gene and Woody started writing about class, about what it was like, you know, why this was a class struggle, and why classism turns into racism, and getting into that in a very artistic way. So he interviewed a woman who was to be the lead, take the lead in this play, and 3 weeks after they hired her, or they started collaborating, this woman's house comes under racial attack in Hyde Park. So Gene and Woody, you know, this woman's name was Susan Page, and she comes in, she's telling about how her, you know, these high school kids, for kicks, are smashing their windows, throwing bricks through, they can't sleep, how are they going to keep their jobs? So that's all you have to do is tell that kind of story to Gene. So all he did was organize this vigil at Susan Page's house that lasted for about 2 years. And it was originally me and Gene and Woody, okay, taking shifts with bats. I mean, we brought bats. We were armed. We were prepared to fight. Not thinking we would, but we were prepared. And we just did shifts. And as word of this started to travel, this became the centerpiece for the anti-racist movement. One of the anti-racist centerpieces in Boston. We had, I don't know how many hundreds of people in coordinated shifts protecting this family's house, just to be able to show the world, you know, that white folks, no matter where we came from, we don't tolerate this, and that we really care, and that we're united in their defense of people to live in any neighborhood that they want to. So Gene is the architect of things like that, that I feel very proud bringing to everybody's attention. If you don't know, it's true.
All the races gave up and moved.
We did. We outdid them, man.
What year was this, 74?
75, yeah. The busing thing.
Yeah.
We did defense of black families in the East Boston projects, and in Dorchester, the lieutenants movement and the labor page, and a number of people like pulled together these defenses of things were so tense. And then in Jamaica Plain, the Latino families in Rockville Circle. So it was a very intense time.
Black people were basically confined to like Roxbury and the contiguous area around there for like however many years. And Latino, anybody that wasn't white, that was it. And at some point, people started to try and move out, and there was just this outbreak of violence. So there was busing going on, and the buses were being attacked. But meanwhile, it was the same phenomenon. People were trying to, you know, they wanted to live somewhere else. Maybe somewhere they had a fucking supermarket in their neighborhood or something, you know, fancy like that. And so it was a very powerful movement. And we created this play called It's Not the Bus, because it wasn't really, the fight was attacking the buses. But this is really wasn't about busing, you know. And the play, after interviewing Susan Page and these other people, the play that Woody and I did was a story about a black family that moved into a white neighborhood in East Boston. And the white kid in the family had sort of gotten into some of these gangs in the community that were these racist gangs. The white mother just happened to incidentally come in contact with the black mother, the black woman in a store or something, ended up borrowing something, or some reason was in her house. The sort of the whole play unfolded. At the end of the play, when the white mother was visiting in the kitchen of the black mother's house, a rock comes through the window. She looks out the window, and there's her son packing the house while she's there. And that was the end of the play. And that was the whole purpose, was to generate these discussions. The problem was, we had the same problem with the Stolen Bicycle Blues. We were too close to reality. So the first kids we hired to be on, or recruited to be on the cast, were bicycle thieves. They were stealing our bikes. So we got rid of them. So with the
we didn't know how to interview very well.
with the It's Not the Bus, we recruited Susan Page, but she could never make rehearsals because her house was always under attack.
Oh, God.
And so, so we created this play and we started performing it, but it was a very mixed cast. And even though all our politics were the same, not the same, but we all were agreed on the mission, and even though we had created this thing together, the situation in Boston made it impossible for black and white people to do anything together. And every time we left that room and came back in, we brought with us everything that happened when we were out there. And so we couldn't do it together. And we ended up, after a couple performances, we sort of, the group just disbanded, you know, and so it didn't get on YouTube or anything.
And it wasn't even invented then.